Thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. A statement from the Diwan of the Royal Court, which reads as follows. In line with the royal kindness of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq to serve the needs of the citizens in the governorates in the Sultanate in terms of the development projects and services, and in continuations with the government's approach to develop the infrastructure in all areas in the country and provide it with modern roads, His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issues his royal directives to the concerned authorities to proceed with Diba Lima Khasab Road by funding alternative routes that comply with the need to expedite the implementation of the road given the urgent need to construct it. The road will play an active role in connecting villages and wilayats of the Musandam Governorate, facilitating travel and road traffic for residents and travelers, serving the public interest and promoting the economic growth and development in the Sultanate. May Allah protect His Majesty the Sultan for this beloved country and keep Oman and those who reside in its lands in prosperity and peace under the wise leadership of His Majesty the Sultan. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cable of condolences to the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud of Saudi Arabia, on the death of His Royal Highness Prince Mashhur bin Musa'id bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. His Majesty the Sultan received a cable of thanks from His Majesty King Abdullah II Ibn Al Hussein of Jordan in reply to His Majesty's cable of greetings on the occasion of his 59th birthday. Reviewing deep-rooted relations linking the Sultanate and Switzerland and issues of common concern topped the discussions held by His Highness Sayyid Yazan bin Haytham Al Said, Minister of Culture, Sports and Youth, with His Excellency Pals Al-Belnab, the ambassador of Switzerland accredited to the Sultanate. They also discussed aspects of joint cooperation between the two countries in the fields of culture and sports and ways to develop them through implementing joint events and programs. Oman oil price April delivery rose by 71 cents to reach $58.43 per barrel compared to yesterday's price, which was $57.72. The average price of Omani crude oil February delivery reached $50 per barrel, thus $6.17 higher than January delivery. The Ministry of Health announced that the total number of COVID-19 cases registered in the Sultanate reached 135,041, while the total number of deaths reached 1,532. The total recovered cases reached 127,206, which is 94.2% of the total recovery rate. The ministry indicated that the total number of inpatients during the 24 hours reached 96, among 29 are in intensive care unit around the Sultanate's health institution. International news. UN aid chief Mark Lowcock told the Security Council that a conflict in Ethiopia's Tigray region could trigger broader destabilization in the country, warning that a dire humanitarian situation in the north was set to worsen. Hundreds of thousands of people in Tigray have not received help, and the United Nations has been unable to completely assess the situation because it does not have full unimplemented access, according to Lowcock's notes for the closed virtual briefing of the 15-member Security Council. He said there were reports of increasing insecurity elsewhere, which could be due to a vacuum created by the redeployment of Ethiopian troops to Tigray, and the United Nations was concerned about the potential for broader national and regional destabilization. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said the United States yesterday extended the New START treaty with Russia for 5 years. Blinken said extending the New START treaty ensures they have verifiable limits on Russia's ICBMs, SLBMs and heavy bombers until February 5th, 2026. President Joe Biden's administration said last month it would seek the extension of the Arms Control Treaty, which is due to expire on February 5th, limits the United States and Russia to deploying no more than 1,550 strategic nuclear warheads each. The South Korea and U.S. presidents agreed on the need for comprehensive strategy on North Korea as they push to work together to achieve denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula. During their first phone talks since President Joe Biden's January 20th inauguration, South Korean President Moon Jae-in proposed the allies make joint efforts for lasting peace and denuclearization. Biden said it's important for Washington and Seoul to have the same position and that his government will closely cooperate with South Korea to achieve joint objectives. Moon, who took office in 2017, was once a driving force behind now dormant diplomacy between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and former President Donald Trump. The Kim-Trump talks collapsed in early 2019 when the Americans rejected North Korea's calls for extensive sanctions relief in return for limited denuclearization steps. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and yet to come in our news bulletin. A 22-year-old American recovers from face and hands transplant surgery. Once again, welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The novel coronavirus has killed at least 2.27 million people since December 2019. Yesterday, 15,331 new deaths and 501,061 new cases were recorded worldwide. The United States is the worst affected country with 450,805 fatalities. After the U.S., the hardest hit countries are Brazil with 227,563 deaths, Mexico 161,240, India 154,703, and the United Kingdom with 109,335 deaths. Europe has 757,137 deaths. Asia reported 242,525. The Middle East 98,455, and Africa 93,79 deaths. International experts yesterday inspected China's laboratory in Wuhan that some U.S. officials had suggested was the sources of the coronavirus, as plans were firmed up to distribute vaccines to poorer nations. The World Health Organization backed COVAX scheme said it would roll out tens of millions of doses to lower income countries in the next few months, with India the biggest beneficiary, getting 97.2 million of the initial doses. GlaxoSmithKline said it was teaming up with German biotech firm CureVac to develop a new vaccine, and Russia said it was looking to ramp up production of its Sputnik V jab. The Sputnik V jab has already been rolled out in several countries, and European Union member Hungary has agreed to buy millions of doses despite its not being approved for use in the bloc. The Palestinians received 10,000 doses of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine today to help jumpstart their COVID-19 inoculation campaign. Health Minister Maya Al-Kaila said the supply would be enough to vaccinate 5,000 people who would each be given 2 shots. The shipment was flown into Israel and transported from there to Ramallah, the Palestinian hub city in the occupied West Bank. Al-Kaila said shipment of vaccines from China would also be arriving, but did not specify a date. A batch of around 37,000 doses from the COVAX global vaccine sharing program is expected later this month. The West Bank, where 3.1 million Palestinians live, has reported 101,508 coronavirus cases with 1,276 deaths. Gaza, with a population of 2 million, has registered more than 52,000 cases with 527 deaths. At 22, Joy DeMeo is rediscovering a range of sensations on his hands and face, from warmth to coolness and from wetness to the touch of another person. DeMeo is still getting used to his hands and face. He has had them for less than 6 months, the product of breakthrough surgery after a fiery accident left stumps where his fingers used to be and his old face severely disfigured. As he pushed himself through hours a day of rehab, DeMeo said he is driven by the goal of moving out of his parents' home in Clark Township, New Jersey, and even getting behind the wheel of a car again. It was driving that started his nightmare coming home from his night shift job as a product tester on July 14, 2018. DeMeo's car crashed, rolled over and exploded, leaving him with third-degree burns over 80% of his body. And now, to end this news bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issues royal orders on the project of Daba Lima Khasab Road and facilitate finding alternative ways corresponds to the importance to expedite the implementation on the road project. His Majesty the Sultan condoles his brother, the custodian of the 2 holy mosques, on the death of Prince Mashhur bin Musa'id bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. And Oman oil price continues to rise and exceeds $58 per barrel. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin, brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman Television, directed by Hilal Ashandoudi, and of course the chief editor in English News, Ral, and the rest of the team, Majid Al-Kharousi, Sushil Varghese, and the entire news team. From me, Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubi'i, we thank you for joining us, wish you a pleasant evening, and good night to all of you.